One of your friends. Okay, here we go. This is Jacoya of Jacoya Gems. Thank you so much for coming back again to view my channel. If you guys can do me a favor, go ahead and hit the like button. Share this to your social media platform. Send it out in text message, email. Subscribe to my channel as well as hit the post notification. So, on tonight, we are back with a very special edition from my blog, Survivor's Scribe, which is a trauma blog. On Survivor's Scribe, I do various write ups, but more so live interviews with people that I know, people that I have come across whom have experienced trauma in one way, shape, form, or facet. And each of these individuals have overcome and have healed in certain areas. So on tonight, I have two returners, and we clearly have a panel. So I have my friend Ebony. We've been knowing each other, I want to say it's about 4 years now. And we have my friend Casmir, and we've been knowing each other for well over 20 years. Ebony, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself to the people and give a little background on who you are. Ebony, are you there?
Hello. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're just a little staticky.
The mic is really messing up.
I understood that. Try saying something. I'm gonna go on mute. Yeah, just try logging off and then logging back in, and I'm gonna switch over to Cash so that he can do some. Sorry about that, you guys. You know we cannot control technology these days. So Cash, go ahead and introduce yourself. Give us a little background.
I am Casmir Romeo Zollicoffer. I gave you my full government. Um, but no, I've been friends with Tierra for well over 20 something years. I can't put a number on it, but we've been friends that long. She and I have come up in the same circles in church and seen a lot of things together. Um, I mean, been in the same services, preached the same services, and just been around the same circle for a very, very long time. I am a two-time divorcee. I think that's how you say it. I think we'll delve into that. But I am glad to be here to share my story and share some insight on what I think will help somebody else kind of um, miss the pitfalls that I didn't really pay attention to, or and just kind of lead somebody else in another direction if they're going down the same path. So,
Thank you so much for that introduction. So on tonight, I'm gonna be a little more interactive than normal since we are
mhm.
talking about dating. Hold on, you guys. Ebony's back. We're gonna try this again. Hey,
I hope it
sis,
works
can
this
you hear?
time, God. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, and if it go out again, we can always bring you back for a part two. I don't want you getting frustrated and have to hop in and out. So go ahead and introduce yourself, sis.
Oh, okay. Well, my name is Ebony Kelley. I'm 41 years of age. Right now, I'm residing on the south side of Chicago, Illinois. I am a divorced mother of five, a dude. I CNA, but working to see business. And that's about it. Can you hear me? Hello.
No. So sis, why don't we do this? We can reschedule so that we can create another panel. So that when the Wi-Fi is better, so that they can hear you and get to know your story.
The microphone is in.
Could you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna message you, sis. Cash, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, sorry about that. So I'm going to be a little bit more interactive tonight than normal, since we are talking about dating, since we are talking about courting. And so I'm a PK, for those of you who don't know. Started off in ministry literally since birth, started off at 4 years old, so on and so forth. And throughout my tenure in the apostolic church, I was engaged twice. And so that's something that we're gonna touch on. I'm also a mom. I have an 18-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old son. And so I definitely have my own point of views from a female point of view, who's a preacher and a PK. So Cash, share with us. As a man in the church, because I know that it's a lot of single ministries in some churches and other churches is not. Now, my perception can be a little jaundiced, maybe because I'm a woman, but it seems as if the Black church owns in more on teaching how a woman to be a wife more than teaching how a man to be a husband. What's your views on that?
Um, well, let's start about the blatant lack of manhood that's persistent in the churches today. Um, and I might get stoned for saying this, but you don't see a lot of manly, real men in the church, and the reason why women are told mostly how to be a wife, how to date, how to court, is because if we're telling the truth, Christianity has become so feminized that we've tailored ourselves to focusing on women, right?
Mhm.
Are we focusing on getting them married, encouraging them that their husband is coming,
Mm.
but don't necessarily tailor to the males on how to be prepared to be a husband. Are you financially stable? Do you have a job? Do you have a car? Because you shouldn't be dating anybody you can't drive. Do you have, how's your credit? And now I'm not saying that to say that you need great credit to date, but you should be at least working on it. Um, do you take care of your children? Like it's just a whole bunch of things that we don't question men about, but we'll tell a woman if she can't cook, she's not wife material. But won't tell a man if you don't have a job, then you shouldn't be trying to date anybody. And let's not talk about you having sex with people, because I'm a proponent of, and this is a Christian. Well, this is we got Christians that's gonna listen to this, but I'm a proponent of, if you're having sex with this young lady, you have a bill. You know what I'm talking about. It comes with a bill. It comes with some kind of bill, and we're not teaching that as far as the responsibilities in the church. We're just letting them, oh well, you got to be submissive. You got to be a good cook. You got to know how to take care of home. But we don't teach that on the flip side, right? We don't teach that. So it's not there. It's like really non-existent among males on how to actually be a male in a relationship and what that entails. How to even approach a woman. That's
Mm.
not really, those things are not really taught. Uh, and so some of us learn them from the street, and we see where that got us, right? So yeah.
You said a lot, and I'm about to unpack it all. I'm about to unpack it all. Um, I want to start with the knowing how to approach a woman and doing it like on the street. And this is something that we accept in the church because, if truth be told, a lot of us are dressed up hoes. And so
Mhm.
when the men in the church come at us a certain way, it should turn us off, but it's still tantalizing because it has that street edge to it with the he goes to church Sunday after 3 o'clock stench on it.
So with that though, it's more so of when I said we learn it from the streets, it's we learn it. You don't have to be weird when you're approaching these women. You know what I mean?
But men are weirdos.
Not all of them.
Not
Not
all,
all of them.
but a
Not
great
all of them.
majority. It's it's a lot of men are creeps. Um, a lot of them are. But when it even comes to the approach, if we are doing things the way that we are supposed to do things, there would be no initial approach, male to woman. The approach would be to her father. The approach would be as well to the pastor if things were done how they were done in the 80s, and if things were done how the Christian church say that they believe. Because
Well,
we have laws and we have scriptures on how all of this should be ran.
I'm for approaching the father, but I'm in today's culture, I'm not for approaching the pastor.
The only time I think the pastor should be approached is if a father is not present, if an uncle is not present, if a male thing is not present. I don't. Let me pause. Let me pause and go back to the women being taught certain things. I'm going to tell you, as a woman who's never been married, but I've been engaged, and I have been blessed to be surrounded by women that are married. Not all of them, but the great majority have are married or have been married. And for some reason, people come to me for advice, and I believe it's because my parents were married, and so they know that, like, my mindset, although not there. I mean, you've been married, and we talk.
Yeah.
I'm going to give out, like, I'm not going to give out anything stupid, anything asinine. So with that being said, the church didn't teach women how to be wives. The church did not teach women how to be wives. And I'm going to tell you why. Because of the church, and this is speaking as a woman that's seen two wives. You know, but all of the audience don't know. My grandparents were married for 54 years before my grandfather passed away in 2016, and my parents were married for 36 years before my mother passed away in November. And I saw both of these relationships. I saw the ups, the downs, all of that. There was only so much, though, that these women were going to do. The church will, like you said, it mentioned cooking and cleaning and submission. We have not been taught as women exactly what submission truly is. Because if that be the case, you wouldn't have so many women putting their pastors above their husbands. You
Yeah.
wouldn't have so many women stepping out into ministry after they've been told you need to do X, Y, and Z. It's like a lot of things. Cooking and cleaning and having sex on a regular basis is not preparing a woman to be a wife. Because if that was the case, the divorce rate in our age group would not be so high. If that was the case, 90% of us would not be having sex with the people that we're dating and engaged with and marrying before we are getting married. A wife is to be chaste. And okay, and if you fall, and if you do end up having sex, did you have any type of celibacy before you guys entered into the marriage bed? But then, so it's like it's an imbalance on both sides. Because if y'all haven't taught how to be husbands, that means that you don't know how to identify a wife. So y'all out here marrying women that are not wives and putting the ring on it and then labeling it such.
Well, here's the thing. With the as a certain point, you, at a certain point you grow up, right? And you tend to you see relationships fail, and you see relationships where you're like, I don't know if I want no parts of that, right? So you should at least be able to recognize red flags, be able to recognize what it is that you do and don't want, and be able to create. If you don't have a pattern, you ought to create a pattern that says that I'm going to rise above the quote unquote negative influences that I've seen and stuff that I've heard. And you know that when you see something wrong, you go the opposite, right? You do the opposite of what you see that was done wrong. And if you are truly in tune with the Father, you'll be able to kind of dissect and discern that, and you'll be able to move away from that. But the problem is that we've been taught that this stuff is normal. Like uh, we've been taught that the first 3 years of your marriage is going to be the roughest years. The first 5 years. It's so many variations of how many years you got to go through struggles before you actually start loving each other. When the truth of the matter is, if you let the people create their own narrative, that's what that's one of the ways that I feel like the church and people send people off, because you struggle for 15 years, the first 15 years of your marriage, doesn't mean that I'm going to struggle for the first 15 years of mine. And so a lot of times we go into marriages thinking, oh, well, I'm going to struggle the first 3 years anyway. It's going to be hard. And we got this mindset, and we've set out this roadmap that the first 3 years of my marriage is going to be pure D hell.
This is 100% correct. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And we need to tell people, listen, y'all create your own narrative. You can have a honeymoon phase for the first 5 years of your marriage. Your honeymoon phase can last for forever if you really want it to, but it's up to you. You create the narrative. And I think that if we would just get out of people's business and allow them to create their own story, we would see more success rates in marriage. But if I'm going by my grandmother, who struggled for 45 years before my grandfather got saved, and if that's the pattern, I'm sorry, I don't want it, right? I don't want that kind of struggle for 40 years. And then live the last 10 years of my life, uh, I guess, struggle free. I don't want that. So
I'm sorry, go ahead, friend.
we don't, I don't think we need to just be setting these patterns and these relationship goals, because create your own story.
Yes, I agree 100%. I know my views when it comes to the approach and different things like that. I believe in full out courting. I wish I would have done things the way that my daddy told me to do.
Mhm,
My
mhm.
father had rules growing up in that house, and it was before you even start liking a little boy, you need to bring him home. And since I did not do that, but I had a father, you know, that I could bring home that can vet people out. Since I did not do that, I promise you, at my big old 36-year-old age with 2 kids, ain't nobody about to really too much be able to step to me outside of me being like, okay, he cute enough. Okay, he has a job. Okay, we believe the same biblically. Now you need to go have a conversation with my father, or you need to have a conversation with my best friend. Because as a woman, I'm going to tell you, we tend to put the cart before the horse. And the Black church has a huge role to do with this. It creates and breeds a spirit of desperation on Black women that are already still dealing with struggling from being raped, being molested, and living out in the world. A lot of Black women that are in church are still actively in a hoe stage or struggling to get out of one, or in some type of messed up relationship, or they've been celibate for so long that they're just so closed off and Jesus is my husband, and so there's no balance. And so then when you have these pastors and these preachers alike, who are telling black women, your husband is coming, your husband is coming, and now this is all she's fixated on, and she does not know how to worship for herself, she does not know how to pray for herself, she does not know how to fast for herself, and now her entire relationship, and I'm telling you what I've seen, now her entire relationship with the Most High is literally predicated off of a husband. So now when she goes to sleep, that's all that she can dream about. And now she making covenants with an unseen entity in another world, because all of these women dreaming of marriages and ain't got married yet, dreaming of babies, and you have allowed yourself to conjure up something and create something, and you're married in the spirit realm and you're being held up in the natural realm because the church is not teaching you how to sit down and get that stench off of you. Because men know when a woman is desperate. Men know when a woman is looking for a husband. And so then you have a lot of these men who are in church. Let me speak for me. I wasn't looking for red flags or anything like that when I got engaged the first time, because I was still out here in these streets. I was doing what I wanted to do. And that was at a point in time when I told my parents, as my pastors, I will not be in church on Sunday. Sorry, I'm missing Bible class on Tuesday. Mind you, the church is right across the yard from me. But I was not about to play with the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. My parents knew that when I was doing what I was doing, I'm not doing it. I'm not singing. I'm not preaching. And I'm probably not going to show up to service. So I'm not looking for red flags, because I am a red flag. I'm clothed in it, and I'm wrapped up, and I'm tied up, and I'm tangled in it. So my goofy self end up with my son's father. He's a church boy, a known church boy, a gifted and prolific bass player. I'm not looking at any of these red flags. I'm just like, okay, you talking about being my boyfriend, and because of how I was raised in church, we was either, but because if you was my boyfriend, then we're automatically talking marriage. Because why are you gonna be my boyfriend? You can just be my friend, boy. So for me, because that's just how it was. You know my mama, you know my daddy. So it's like, I'm not, we don't have to do that. So I'm missing the red flags. And this is how church women, it's so many church women, and I see the comments, y'all, I'm gonna address them. It's so many church women. And it's not, when I say church, y'all, I'm not just talking about Christianity. I'm talking about the Black conscious movement. I'm talking about the Israelite movement. I'm talking to Black women in general that are so desperate to be loved, because we just want to be married. We just want to be wise, that we take these men in, we allow them to shack up on us, then you end up with kids, or end up further back in life, because you find yourself seeking for something, and you're not supposed to be seeking for anything as a woman. You're supposed to be sought. Cash, I'm gonna read these comments out loud and then turn it over to you. Hey, Rapping Magazine. Hey, Shani. Thank you, guys. Rapping Magazine said my parents been married 56 years and they are like best friends, and that's what's beautiful. I've seen that before. My grandparents would bicker back and forth. They was married 54 years, and it's like they were Bob and Yvonne. You never heard one of their names without the other. Cash, talk to us about the stench of desperation on the Black woman in the church. And does it vary from the stench of desperation from the Black woman in the world? Help us today, sir.
The stench is the stench. And listen, a man is like is somewhat has like a dog like instinct, right? Not that all men are dogs. Let's not carry that narrative. But the stench is the stench. You smell like a desperate woman, whether or not you're in church or out of church. Let's just put it that way. You can tell a desperate woman. She's always posting about not wanting a man. You desperate. You just waiting on somebody to just pick you, I guess.
My God.
Then you have the ones that are so independent I don't need no man. Really and truly, you you uh you you are you just exuding. You're exuding desperation. It's just it's a whole. The stench is a stench. A man, whether he is in church, in corporate America, whether he uh, homie from off the block, he can pick up on a desperate woman. It just rings out of you. The vulnerability, the brokenness, because two broken people uh, are always going to be attracted to each other. It's like magnets. Brokenness recognizes brokenness, and I think that's another part of what we see not only in the church but in the world. Broken people getting together, building trauma bonds, and wondering why these things just never work out because it's magnetic. Your energy is going to attract the same energy that you have. So if you have a broken energy, you're going to attract broken people. Until you heal that energy, you will not attract whole people. And then you're going to continue to go down this rabbit hole of brokenness, brokenness. And it's a cycle. You think you get healed, and then you go back to broken again. You think you get healed, then you go back to broken again. So it's the cycle. And so the broken people, the vulnerable people, the narcissists, they're feeding off of that. They're feeding off of it. And that's just men in general. Once we see that we got you in a vulnerable state, or we feel like we got the hook in the fish's mouth. All we have to do is reel it in. So we find out from that vulnerable state, we find out what you like. So you like this kind of candy, you like these kind of flowers, you like this kind of text message in the morning, and start to reel you in and hook you in until you hooked, and now we just let you off the line because we got you now. You're going nowhere because you fallen trapped to uh, whatever it is that we put out there, and that's why you see so many men. And my brothers are probably gonna get on me, but that's why you see so many men doing any and everything to these women because we know she's not going nowhere. Why? Because we caught her at a vulnerable stage until she gets healed, until she feels, until she figures out she's not gonna put up with this crap. I'm gonna do whatever the heck I want to do, and she's just gonna stay here. I've seen it. Like I've seen men have 3 and 4 babies, but because that's my husband, I'm just gonna stick with him. He caught her at a vulnerable stage. He's got a hook on her, and she just can't get free. That's it. That's all. And that's men in church, and that's men outside of church.
I love everything that you said. And yes, child of Yah, love bombing. That's exactly what it's called. I want to touch on everything you said. When you're talking about the narcissist, now a lot of people are going around calling themselves empaths and super empaths. And for those of you who don't know, I'm re-enrolling back in school in the fall to complete my degree in psychology. So, like, if I'm using these terms, I didn't learn them on the internet. Um, I have books. I have books. I love to study the mind. So, a lot of people who claim, specifically women, to be empaths, they actually fall in the cluster B personality disorder um, spectrum, and it's in the same cluster as narcissistic personality disorder. So with a narcissist, there's so many different type of narcissists: covert narcissist, overt narcissism, malignant narcissism, grandiose narcissism. And so all of these types of narcissisms have in common is that they lack empathy, and that they have a way of mirroring you. So they'll take your personality, like he was saying, and basically give you everything that you want to love bomb you. And so a lot of times you will have a narcissistic man who ends up with a woman who either has borderline personality disorder, which means that some way, at some place in her life, she's stuck in her adolescence. And so when she deals with emotions, it just comes in all at once. And so instead of exploding, a lot of times she will self implode. And this is the type of woman that can do the tug of war with the narcissist, because he's breadcrumbing her and she gets addicted to him. And because she's used to the abandonment from childhood and the rejection from childhood, and because in the times that he does give her he wants, what she wants, excuse me, it's hard for her to leave. But she also has the ability to rage with the narcissist. So this is why you see a lot of these couples who will fuss and fight, they break up to make up. It's because both of them are mirroring each other in one way, shape, or form. And you see this a lot in church. And so when you were talking about the energy and the nervous system, a lot of times, ladies, not even a lot of times, when you get in butterflies, that's literally anxiety. That's anxiety, or the Ruach HaKodesh. A lot of people say that women have a woman's intuition, and people feel like that's something that's false. But the chemical makeup of a woman is completely different than the chemical makeup of a man. And so, if we're like really deeply going into anatomy and the fact that Eve was taken from the innermost parts of Adam, and wisdom, which is chokman, the feminine aspect of the Most High, was breathed into Adam, and that was taken out to form a woman. So that gut feeling, that intuition that's in a woman, it's literally placed on the inside of us from creation. And when we go against ourselves, that's how we end up stuck in these situations. What are some What's some advice? Because I know I'm gonna tell women some things that we do unknowingly that come off desperate after you get finished. What's some advice that you can give some women um, on how to spot a guy that's like really not about you, but he has all the makings thereof, especially a woman in church? Like, talk to these saved women, these churched women, because we'll conjure up a lie real quick and say, God told me that was my husband. You've seen it.
First of all, God doesn't choose your husband, but I'm not really even going to get into all that because I don't know what everybody on this line believes. But I'll just start there. God is, and I know you and I have had this conversation, but I'm just going to tell this part of it. I don't believe that the Lord chooses your husband. I think He gives you. I think He puts the people in front of you and allows you to use your discernment on who fits where you're going. Right? That's just me. Y'all don't have to take that for Bible, but we can have a discussion on that on the outside if you want to. Now, determining whether or not this person is really for you, it's all in conversation. If I talk to you and all you do is give me surface level conversations, we talking about surface level things, and we never get to the meat of things. We never have a deep conversation. You never challenge me to think, but it's about my body. It's about surface level church stuff. It's about surface level work stuff. Um, that person's not really into you. They want a portion of you, but they're not really into you. When I talk to somebody, I want to know, what's your 5 year goals? What's you are you do you want marriage? Do you want children? Because we have to have these conversations and get away from, oh, you're so cute. That's high school. That's when you first met somebody, high school crushing and stuff like that. But I need to know your goals. I need to know your aspirations. I need to know if you've been to jail. Come on, somebody. I need to know if you have any mental issues. We need to talk this stuff through so that there are no surprises in the end. And if you can't have these high level conversations with this person, they're not into you. Check the conversation. Check the body language. Um, can you text them after 9 o'clock? Can you call something, something came down? Can you call them after 9 o'clock? And I've been the person that you couldn't call after 9 o'clock. But that's neither here nor there, right? But I'm telling you this from experience. If they're into you, they are available. They're available to you. They don't go days and days without talking to you. They may go hours, maybe because if they're working or whatever, but they don't go all day, 24 hours without having said a word to you, right? I told somebody, I said, if I wake up and I don't hear from you by 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna assume you didn't open your eyes because I should hear from you. If you open your eyes that morning, I feel like I should hear from you. You know what I mean? I feel like we should start our day, we should end our day with a phone call, with a text message, something. But if I'm not into you, you probably won't hear from me for a couple of days until, you know, it's,
Shoot, if I'm not into you, you ain't gonna hear from me for a couple of weeks.
but my thing is the time, it's the conversation. Men, I'm gonna tell y'all something about men. Men will put in time. You can't see my face. We'll put in time. We'll put in communication, and we're gonna put in finance. If we are not putting finance into you, we don't like you. That's it. That's all. If a man is not willing to put his finance or his money into you, and I'm not saying you go out and you be a gold digger and you got to spend everything on you, but if he does not offer some form of monetary reward or something like that, he ain't in. He don't like you. Stop asking, do men steal? Yes, we do. We take out the garbage. We open doors. We plan dates. We just don't like you, sweet baby. And that's what you're experiencing right now. Go find somebody that likes you, and you're gonna get all those things that you're asking. Do men still do? We do it. We don't like you.
And these are facts. These are cold hard facts. And plus, a man will also do what it is that you allow.
That's
So earlier you talked about the independent movement. So just to be clear, for those of you who know that I am anti-independence, you are an adult woman. When you enter in a relationship, it is interdependence. I was raised not to touch my wallet around men. I
say
didn't
it
listen.
again.
I
Say
was
it
raised
again.
not to
Say
touch
it
my
again.
wallet around men. That's just how I was raised. If
Can
I'm
you say that
walking,
again for the people in the back? There's some
let me
people in the
drink a little
back
tea
that can't
first.
hear you.
I was raised not to touch my wallet around men.
Thank you.
That's how I was raised. My father would literally pop our hand if we reached for a check. He said, "You don't touch no check that you're not gonna pay for. It ain't your business how much the bill is."
That's it.
I remember being a little girl all the way up until adulthood getting in trouble because my parents would have us go out to eat and they say, "Get whatever y'all want." But here I am looking at what I want and I'm looking at the prices on the menu and I'm doing math in my head. And my daddy and my mother be like, what are you doing? You don't do that. And so that's something that was broken in me at a young age. And I figured that a man is never going to take you to a place that he cannot afford. And if he cannot afford it, then he's a foolish man. That's it. That's all. I
Listen,
also do not believe, I'm just letting y'all know what I believe in. I do not believe that a woman should ever take a man on a date unless they are in a relationship and they are committed with one another. He's still in pursuit of you. These are just my opinions.
now in the date thing, if she asks me to take me on a date and she gonna pay for it, I don't have a problem with that. But for the most part, I'm gonna be the one paying.
For me,
And
that's in a relationship, though. I don't think during
yeah,
the
yeah.
during the getting to know each other stage, like once you ask me to be yours, then now, because I'm a reciprocate with how feminine I am. I'm a reciprocate by how well I listen. So that's how I'm reciprocate. I may leave the tip. I don't have a problem doing that. But even the men, that I have gone out with and stuff, they take things like that as an insult.
And it's not so much that we always want to be this macho person, and it's the way some of us was raised. Like
Hmm.
if you're with me and you touch a door, what are you doing? You don't touch doors. Now I have been like when I'm mad at you, you can get your own door. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. But But for the most part, you don't touch doors. You get dropped off. Um, you get dropped off in front of the door, and I'm gonna
Right.
go park. And
Yep.
you would be surprised. You would be surprised how many women hate that. And it's just the way that some of us were raised. Some of us are still raised with values, and some of us were still raised with morals, and we still believe in respecting women. We still believe that a man should provide, protect, preserve, and promote those four things. So we believe that, and because we believe that, that's just a part of our nature. I'll give you a story. So uh, I was there was a young lady, and I told her, I said, I'm gonna pay your phone bill. Oh, you don't have to. I said, wait a minute. I never asked you if I had to. I said, I'm going to. I said, because you're giving me a piece of you, and we're just going to go there. You're giving me a piece of you, and you know what that piece is. That's very valuable. And I feel like if you're giving me that piece of you, then I should be able to give you something.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because again, that's valuable, and uh, it's not giving sex for exchange of goods. That's not what that is. It's me recognizing that the woman that I'm with, that I want to be with this person for the rest of my life. So I need to prove to her that I'm a provider and I'm with her for something more than just what's between her legs. You understand what I'm saying? So we kind of got through the back and forth of, you don't have to do that. I asked you for the amount of money that your phone bill is. Tell me, and we're just gonna get it paid, and we're gonna move past this. And uh I think that just needs to become normalized. Like it's normal for men to who there are men out there that want to provide, that want to be a help, that desire to be useful in your life. Because when a man doesn't feel needed, he backs off, he becomes distant, he becomes cold, and he eventually leaves. But there's just something about having that appreciation and that need for a man that just makes him want to stay.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Even in platonic relationships, or even sometimes exes in relationships that don't end up working out, you guys end up remaining friends, but it's all how you present yourself to the people that you
Hmm.
once dated. What I want to normalize though is when a man offers you something, and especially if it's a man that you're with, or a man that you've built up a certain amount of trust with, just say thank you and send him your Cash App information or your Zelle. We have to learn how to be feminine, and feminine women, truly feminine women, know how to sit back and accept, because you've planted seed. Like you said, she gave you peace. And so a woman that's truly a woman, her presence and even her conversation and her wisdom can provide so much to a man that doesn't even have any type of sexual intention for her, and he could say, hey sis, because it's happened to me before, you got anything you need? And I had to sit back and learn how to say, yeah, I do. And to be able to accept, because the strings that some people may try to attach to things don't have to attach to you. You're no one's puppet. And so when we learn to sit back and to rest and allow men to be men, then maybe we can reach some type of common ground. Now, I do want to ask you, what role did pastors play in you getting engaged, you getting married, your divorces, any problems you may have faced in the marriages?
So coming up, my story as a youth pastor, youth minister, when I was at my first church, and the um, the narrative there was that he wanted me to take over the church, right? So there were plans in place. There was a succession plan. Everybody knew, you know. But the one thing uh, that I didn't have that he wanted was for me to be married. And so I sought out on a path to get married. I sought out on a path to get married, searching for a wife. So, like when I was, like you said, dating people, I'm dating people. Can you be a first lady? Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do that? Round up getting married, and that she wasn't first lady, and she'll tell you to this day we're cool. She'll tell you she wasn't first lady. She far from it, right? But that was her path. Um, I got married because she and I were um I'm just gonna put it this way. We were having sex, right? And me being a good old church boy, I didn't know half of the stuff. And I'm just gonna be honest. The stuff that my God, I didn't know half of the stuff that she knew, right? She was a little bit more experienced than I was. And so, like, man, I'm intrigued. But the church told us, like, if y'all gonna be shacking, and if you're gonna be preaching, I'm gonna need you to do either one or two things: get married or stop. I didn't want to stop, so I got married, and we were married for about 5 6 years, but it wasn't mm-mm, because uh, the church, and we did some treacherous things, but the church was continually in our business, right? And it was because we were young, we didn't know how to keep the church out of our business. We did things in front of the church. You know what I mean? So um, it shaped my relationship. It kind of hampered my relationship with my first pastor because here he is, a man that put his name on me, and now I'm acting a total fool and kind of, I don't want to say disgracing, but bringing shame to his hand pretty much. And so it hampered the relationship because I felt like I was just left out on this island where nobody's helping me, but everybody wants to judge me, right? And so she and I wound up getting the divorce, and not too soon after that, I left that church. And when I left that church, it whole nother story behind that. And then I went over to another church and got married. And the pastor didn't so much have influence in that marriage. It was the person. This time, it was the person pushing me toward marriage more so than the pastor. And I see the question: did the pastor counsel you guys before you got married? Very briefly, very briefly. He offered advice. He offered some words of wisdom, some words of warning to the both of us. And but he made the decision ultimately up to us, right? Um, but the second time, I was I was at another church dating another young lady, and the people were on us to get married. And around that time, several different people had gotten engaged, and I was just sitting there twiddling my thumbs, like, "Oh, that's nice! Congratulations, y'all! When y'all get married?" And then they would come up to us, and particularly me in front of her, and they would say, "Why you playing? When you playing? Why you playing so much? When you gonna put a ring on it?" And they would do this in front of her, right? So it kind of put the pressure on me for her to look back at me and say, "Well, why are you playing? When are you going to put a ring on it?" Which led her to go buy her own ring, which led her to go to the church. Oh, yeah, to go to the church and set up a wedding date before I could even say yes because she got a confirmation from somebody else that this was the date. So, yeah, I've been in some very uh, interesting predicaments as it pertains to getting married. And I wasn't strong enough because I felt like I needed to be with somebody. I wasn't strong enough to say, yeah, no, this ain't gonna work. This ain't for me. Right. So But the pastor also didn't know a lot of that because I never told him. I wasn't upfront and honest and told him the whole story. But when I was getting my divorce, his simple words to me was, "You can't be with somebody who don't want to be with you, and son, you got to let it go for you." And I walked away that second time.
Okay. Okay. Wow. I didn't know that she bought her own ring.
She, we were in the mall. I never forget this. We were in the mall, and we were at Orland, and we were in the mall. We shopping. Excuse me. And she goes to Rogers and Highlands. She puts the ring on layaway on her credit card. Yes, ma'am. She started the layaway on her credit card for a ring. This had to be August, and then we officially got engaged because I couldn't pay the ring and pay the ring off up front. So we got engaged in January, but she had bought that ring in August, and she went to the church the next month, which was September, and set a date for September 8th the following year.
Okay, so I'm just called what a thing, and to me, that's a whole bunch of masculine charismatic witchcraft. Um, and I'm gonna say why. And I would say, I mean, I hope and pray that the church sees this. Um, this beyond her when people are used to push an agenda and to sanction something, they operate as coven of witches when you step outside of order and step outside of alignment. And that's never okay. And as a woman in church that's been engaged, as I said, similar things have happened or have tried to happen with me. You know how I am. The second time I was engaged was to a young man who was a way better man than the first person I was engaged to. Way better man, hard worker, polite, articulate, all of that. But I was still trying to do the whole church boy thing. By me being so deeply stooped into church, it was very hard for me to find somebody that I would want to be with because you can say if I'm lying or not or if I'm stretching the truth. When I was in church and I was preaching, I was like top dog. And so a lot of guys were intimidated by me or not intimidated by me to approach me because I'm a lady, but it was kind of like she can out preach me. And a lot of guys do not want to be with a woman that can out preach her and out
Yeah,
teach her and out
yeah,
him, I'm sorry, and out Bible him. And because I built up such a big platform for myself, it was kind of like she bad and but it wasn't the easiest. And plus it was nobody that was is very slim pickings. And so this gentleman was a member of at his own church, but I knew that I could not leave my parents' church to go to his church because he wasn't up to par even spiritually, but also because I discerned that of his leader, and that just wasn't what it was supposed to be. And so with that, when we ignore different things like that, we end up in certain type of relationships. And so that was giving a lot of masculine energy for a woman to go buy her own ring, but she's not the first woman that I've heard to do something like that. I know a woman who got engaged and like her engagement ring, never posted it and went and bought herself the ring that she wanted and wore it on her wedding day. And
yeah,
so it's a lot of things that women do to cut off the scrotum of a man just so that she
yeah,
can have a certain position in his life. And because we have the backing of the church or the backing of elder women in the family, because we just so desperate to get you married, we don't even care who you marry.
hmm,
So there's not even any vetting of the
yeah,
men. Just get the
yeah,
ring, get the ring, get the ring. He could be a drunk alcoholic with no job, kids everywhere, But as long as y'all got similar beliefs, then he can possibly be your husband. Cash, on closing out tonight, because I'm like, this is a conversation that could continue for a very long time, and I'm sure some more topics that we can hit in a future date. Hmm. What would you
Let's
say?
let's stay right there though
Okay, go ahead.
for a second, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
If a man is telling you I'm not ready, that man is not ready, right? So I would continually say, and I just be honest, I would tell her, I said, you're the person that I would want to marry. I'm just not ready to do so right now. That man is number one. He just gave you his intentions. He wants to marry you. Listen very clearly, but he's saying at this moment, I'm not ready right now. Do not combat him when he says that, because what you're doing is you're painting him into a corner that says, okay, either I gotta fight or flight, right? I gotta make a decision. I gotta make a decision quick on my feet. I love this person. And because people know that you love them, and they know that if they get you painted into a well enough corner, you're pretty much going to do what you want them to do, right? Well, they're pretty much going to do what you want them to do. And so, playing off the fact that I love this person and stuff like that, if people are telling you, I'm not ready for this, you need to be respectful of the fact that they're not ready. Now, you make a decision now. Okay, am I going to stay here until you get ready? Or am I going to leave, let you get ready, and then if it's meant to be, we just come back together. But I think people are so fixated on I can change you. You don't know what God. I heard all of this. You don't know what God gonna do in a year. Yada yada yada. And I'm sitting here telling you that I haven't fully healed from the last person. So I'm gonna bring all the stuff that I hadn't healed from in that last thing over into this, and I'm telling you now that this is not going to work. So when a person tells you they're not ready, they're not ready. But that don't mean that they don't want to be with you or they don't have any intentions for you. They're just not ready. They're not ready for that at that moment. So you trying to push them along faster than what they're ready for, you're gonna push them away.
This is true, but a lot of times, women are selfish and we're delusional and we're controlling. And these are just facts. We're spoiled. We feel as if we can change men's mind, that whatever it is that we have between our legs, if we could do the double hand, opposite turn, then then we can just like voila our way into the husband. We just think that it's something different. I'm not her. Like I'm not who you've been with. And it's like it's not a you thing. And if a man dare decides to set a boundary, y'all automatically gay. Y'all hate women, you hate your mother. Like women will shut down and flip out because we register it as rejection and abandonment versus a man being honest. And that's another topic. Like that's one reason why men are not honest, because women take everything so personal. But I'm not even gonna go there. I'm not even gonna go there. But what are some last few words of advice that you can give those that are actively dating or looking to court or possibly engaged, or you in church and maybe you haven't controlled yourself just yet, so that they don't allow people to control their outcome?
How many minutes I got?
Go ahead, take it.
Okay. Uh if you're dating, and I've made this mistake. Well, I don't even say it's a mistake. But if you're dating, keep it private until really until you decide that you're going to take that next step. Keep that private, because what it does is it allows just unnecessary people to be in your business. And notice I said private. I didn't really say secret, right? Um Secret is don't nobody know, but private is the most important people know. You don't have to blast. And I think we're so quick to show people we're so happy in relationships for social media purposes. And then when people ask you, well, what happened to so and so? Now you got to explain what happened to so and so when if you didn't even put it out there in the first place, you you don't have anything to explain and you don't have those questions to look forward to. So I say keep it private. You know, you know what you are with that person. You know what that person is to you. All 5,000 of your friends on social media don't really need to know that. You know, if you decide to post a toe or a hand or some feet or something like that, then that's your business. But like face pictures and all this other stuff, keep that stuff to yourself until you're actually walking down. I believe until you ain't getting engaged, getting ready to walk down that aisle, don't be posting nobody else. Don't the people the people tired of it, sweetie. And that's what I had to learn. Like people were tired of it. Like, bro, you posting somebody else now, bro? Like I thought you just no. Keep that stuff private. It's not a secret. Build something together first and then release that stuff to the public slowly but surely, like in your own comfort. Now, this is not a one size fit all opinion. It's just mine. Take it for what it is. Um, and especially if you're dating within a church or religious setting, you have to be absolutely careful, right? You got to be careful because people are nosy. People will nitpick. People will become friends with you just because of who you're dating. They don't really like you. They like the person you're dating, or they're cool with the person you're dating. So by default, they try to become cool with you. But as soon as that relationship breaks up, you break away, right? And so it's a hurtful experience when you build relationships with people and they only built a relationship with you because of the relationship you have with somebody else. When if they really didn't know, you don't have that experience. So just keep people out of your business. Don't force anybody to don't let anybody force you to make a decision that you're not ready to make. You have to learn to choose you. Yes, marriage sounds like a great idea. Yes, you want to be with that person, but why? And don't tell me you want to be with them because you love them. Love is gonna run out at some point. Love don't pay bills. Love ain't communicating at night. Love doesn't do a bunch of things. You need a communicator. You need somebody that's going to pay bills. You need somebody that's going to be nurturing, not just because you love them. I love gyros, but I'm not marching down the aisle to gyros. I I love a bunch of things, but my love for that is not going to cause me to marry it. It's got to be something deeper, and find the deeper meaning. Find what that is. You need to ask this person, what is it about me, non-physical, that you love the most? They can't give you a physical reason. They need to go deep down and say, and then personality is not an answer. I need to know what it is about my personality that you love the most. That's not an answer. Give me something non-physical, non-tangible that you love about me that I can grow off of. And then really and truly, give me something you don't like that I need to change. I'm talking about hard conversations. You know what I mean? So have a hard conversation, keep the folks out your business, be private, not secret, and just enjoy your life. Like, enjoy your life. Now, I noticed you said earlier about fornicating and all this other stuff. Listen, let's talk to the person that's not quite in church. If y'all are getting to know each other on that level, make sure that if y'all can lay together, y'all can stand together, which means that after we through doing what we're doing, can we stand up and have a conversation? Can we stand up and go on a date? Can we stand up and have an intellectual dialogue? Because if all we doing is two beds, two bodies rubbing together, we're gonna start a fire, and not a good one. Okay, we're gonna start some stuff that we're not able to handle once we get up out of the bed. because we're coming together, but we don't have anything else that bonds us other than sex. So that's my spiel. Learn how to stand together if you're laying together. All right.
Thank you for that. Yeah, y'all, because you can definitely screw your way into a lifelong relationship
I know.
and you end up being stuck there because you decided to just keep sleeping with somebody versus getting to know them.
Yeah.
Um, I do remember that when my parents were getting married, they were mandated to even have to have STD testing. And so nowadays we just want to have fun and go out and guys spend their money and there are no real conversations being had. So, like he said, have those hard conversations up front. Ladies, let's not double text, double call. He saw. Let's not be so easily available. If he just met you tonight, he should not be taking you out the same week. Just my opinion. You're busy, even if you are not. You can still talk to him. Um, Set boundaries about what time of day you're going to be going out on dates. There's lunch. There's brunch. Also, everybody who know me know that I will plan a cheap date, find a free museum day or something like that. Men invest in what it is that they care about. And I'm going to just say that. Go on a real date. You deserve to go on a real date. If a man is inviting you over to his house, he don't want nothing but your body. Y'all ain't went out yet. My opinion. It's not a safe place to go to somebody's house on the first date. Why are you in their house? Even safety wise. You may not agree. I'm telling y'all to stay out that Negro house because you are going to be easily accessible. You don't know him. He ain't even did nothing to spend no money on you. He don't need to cook for you. And stop cooking for these men that ain't your husband. The only thing that he needs to know is that you know how to cook and that you know how to clean. And stop expecting men to pick up all of your bills who are not your husband. If he decides to pay a bill every now and then, he doesn't have to because that's not your husband. It's a gift.
Um. So we're
Go
gonna
ahead.
have a dialogue. We're gonna go over an hour. Uh, as far as coming to the house,
Nah, that's no no.
I okay. I I think that there should be several conversations had before you go to anybody's house. Um, you should have several conversations, like, and you should go out. You know, um, I have cooked for somebody that I just not just met. Hold on, we knew each other for some time, but pandemic hit and stuff like that, so we couldn't really go anywhere anyway. She came to the house. I cooked for her. Things led,
My
you know.
point exactly. So, like I said, okay, because y'all, I had this rule before my last relationship. Everybody know if I can't do nothing else, I can cook. I always had a rule in my relationships that I'm not cooking for you. You ain't buy these groceries. And even if you bought those groceries, you're not my husband. Like that's just something that's very intimate. Now, when I was dating the guy that I was the second guy I was engaged to, if he would be over my house while I happened to be cooking for my kids, I would give him a plate. But it was abundantly clear I'm not cooking for you because those are wife duties. Plain and those are wife duties. I'll rather take you on a date than to cook for you because I only watch my grandfather eat my grandmother's cooking. Cooking is intimate. That's how a lot of women get me. And I know y'all don't listen. You don't listen to Juno Kakaru. Like y'all don't know what be going on out here. And plus, that's a level of servitude. That's a level of humility.
I can kind of see that. I don't have that type of I don't have that type of mentality where I shouldn't be cooking for you, you shouldn't be cooking for me. There are certain things, don't wash my clothes. You know what I mean? Like, don't, those kind of things.
I did now in my last relationship, both of us, the way that's what I'm saying. Like before my last relationship, that was my number one rule. he started cooking for me. My last relationship. So he would call me over. Oh, I got a steak. I got this. I got that. And so then I'm like, okay, let me reciprocate. And I started back cooking. But that was me breaking my rule. That was me stepping outside of what it is that I said that I would do because I already got 2 kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not virgins. What else can I give to my husband that I have not given to another man? And when I cook with love, I cook with intentions. And at the end of the day, it's not my job to cook for you. It's just, to me, it's a lot of layers that we miss out on, because what's going to be the next step that you take in your marriage if you already crossing these intimate lines with one another? Then how do my duties increase as a wife if I'm already doing this for you as a wife?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I get that. I just, for me, I feel like there are a lot of other vetting tools that I probably would use. I don't require it. I can cook for myself.
But some Negroes will walk up to you and be like, "When you gonna cook for me?"
I don't I don't require that.
How were you eating before you met me?
Let me tell you something. I will even tell who I'm with. You don't even have to, if you cook, you don't even have to make my plate. I just don't
Okay, stop,
require that.
stop, stop.
I don't require it. Not in
Cash.
the relationship stage. I don't require that.
Oh my God, you just made me, I almost slid out this chair. Listen, now that's the one thing as a woman that will send me, when I have been in places and I have sat back and I have watched women not fix a man plate. I take issue with that, because even in a relationship, because I'm a host, right? And so when I was in that last relationship, we would have Sabbath services and he would teach. I would cook all of the food beforehand because people are coming over to his house so that we can have service. It's the Sabbath, so I'm prepping. I would fix his plate first, put his plate up, fix the kids, and I would fix everybody plate in that room. My mama didn't even let my daddy eat off a paper plate, and he would get mad at her about that. Everybody else could eat off a paper plate, but don't you fix your daddy food and put it on that paper plate. So I don't know. For me, it's just certain things. It's just certain things. If you're not fixing his food, then what are you doing? What are you doing? Ooh, you just aggravated me.
Um, I don't. Once again, I don't require it, and it's because I'm able-bodied and I'm able. Now, it's a nice gesture. I'm not saying I refuse it. I'm saying I don't require it. You know
Look
what I
at the
mean?
servitude behind it, because it's more than a gesture. To me,
I mean,
that cooking, like, it's just certain things that positions you, to me, becomes a
mhm,
form of worship in your relationship, because it's when you're serving and when you're submissive. That's why, to me, certain things takes place in marriage, because it's a symbol of, I'm serving you.
right.
So that's how I know. Some people like, see, it ain't that deep, but for me it is, because
Yeah.
I be cooking with the I cooks. This ain't no romaine over here.
Well, like I said, it's just if it's done for me, I'm never not appreciative. Like I'm never saying, "Oh, you don't have to do this." But if you don't do it, I can still do it myself.
So how
Um,
would you feel if I told you one requirement for me to have nobody open the door for me?
that's the thing. You know my standard. So if you
Okay,
know
and you
that
know
it's
mine,
not a
so it's a
requirement,
requirement. I'm
then
letting y'all know, if y'all do not fix his plate, because I be being quiet, we're gonna have a problem.
if you know the person's standards and they don't align, then you have a choice. You make a choice. Do I stay with somebody who's not aligning with my standard, or do I just leave? I got a choice. Like if you're not allowing me to be the gentleman that I know that I am and that I have been trained to be, I can't stay there too long. Because I'm gonna tell you a good 3 times, don't open the door. But if you're making this a practice, then you're not respecting my presence. then now we have another issue, right? And it's not about being macho alpha, nothing. It's about the fact that you're respecting my presence. Fixing my plate, I mean, I'm gonna get used to it, but like I said, it's not a requirement. Like it's I mean, fortunate enough that I'm dating somebody who does it. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's what's up.
So I
Because that's
mean,
that modern day women. We need traditional women standards over here, sir.
yeah. So
Traditional women, please. Look, let me stop.
so yeah. I mean, it's just me from what I've dealt with, and maybe that's one of the things that I need to get past
Yes, please do.
before I venture off and get married again. It's just I learned how to cook because I was forced to. I didn't necessarily want to learn how to cook. If I didn't cook, I didn't eat, right? And so I was forced to learn how to cook.
And see, that's why for me as a woman, because as a man, if you heard me say certain things, it would sound strange to you. You would understand it, but it would sound strange to you because as a traditional man, there are just certain things that you think that a woman should require, like just bare minimum. To me, a woman's fixing her husband's plate and cooking his food, that's bare minimum. To me, that's just something that should automatically be checked out. But I do know, like, for everybody it's on. But as a traditional woman, traditional women get joy out of doing things like that. We actually get joy out of you taking a bite and you being like it just does something.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, I'm gonna read this last one, then I'm gonna close out. A first lady needs to be trained by a first lady, and I was. I'm gonna get it together one day. I'm gonna get it together one day. So, with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for coming back to view Survivor Scribe on tonight with Casmir. I'm definitely going to bring Ebony back. She has a totally different experience and some similar, and it's a story that we definitely need to hear. Thank you guys for participating in the chat. If you guys have any topics, if you want to come on at any time, or your mom is a first lady, God bless all of the first ladies. My goodness, because first ladies to me are born and not made. My mom was a first lady too, so I definitely understand. That being said, guys, if you can like, comment, share, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. You can also donate to the platform as well as to my guest, and follow him on well, he's not that friendly, so I'm not gonna say follow him on social media.
Please, please, please. I mean, you can. I mean, you get what you get. You know, you're gonna get what you get. So if you are easily offended, I don't think I'm the person to follow.
So follow him
Um,
because he's hilarious. We've been friends for 20 years for a reason. But thank you guys so much. I will be coming back soon. I'm going to drop the information. I think the next conversation, well, in a few conversations with this, I will be bringing on a brother, Shay Michael. He is an Israelite. He's one of the overseers, or the Morays of Kingdom Harbinger Ministries, the location that's in New Orleans under Divine Prospect, Dr. Ron Shields. And he's actually going to be coming on to talk to us about him being anti-dating, anti-westernized relationship, and speak to us on courting from a Hebraic aspect, so that we can kind of chisel down some of this whoredom among the Black community. With that being said, thank you guys. Stay whole, stay healthy, and stay positive. Talk to y'all soon.